It's dawn. It's been 3 days since I've been sent looking for the lost drones created by Dr. Filipino or whatever the fuck his name was. He told me I learned more about what exactly is going on if I helped him. Problem is, the one drone that the police confiscated is now being investigated at a higher level. How do I know this? Well, I don't. Well, sort of. See, I've still been going to work like the usual, and every time I pass the station since the day I found the lab, I've seen black government cars, trucks, all parked in the lot. I tried not to draw too much attention today when I passed by, sort of half-glancing and side-eyeing. That really didn't do much to serve me since I couldn't see shit. The station was like any other small-town police station, with reddish bricks and a high roof, probably with enough verticality to store whatever contraband they had seized by the local drug dealers and other not-so-great people that society has to deal with. After my shift, I walked back home. Passing the station, since it's on the same road I live on. Very convenient, I know. I realized that I was in the ideal position to gather some extra information about where and how to find the drones. Besides the one just outside of the lab door, I guess. The one in the sewers. The camo-faced doctor retrieved and is probably studying it now. Doing whatever kind of magic shit that he does to make science things happen. I don't know. Anyway, I realized I had no possible way to get in there and try to get the drone back without either A, getting arrested immediately for entering restricted areas, B, being lucky enough to miraculously get the drone, run for my life, and drop into the sewers like a fucking like a fucking Ninja Turtle, or like Mario, or Luigi, or whatever the fuck his name was, and pray no one saw me. Or C, get some hollow points transplanted into my vital organs, also known as, getting shot and killed. So basically, you know what I'm working with here. I'm literally a Dunkin' Donuts worker, and you want me to do what? I said to Dr. Philly Cheesecake as I re-entered the lab a few hours after I came home from my minimum wage job.
Oh, don't be scared, young man. You certainly have the capacity to perform this task effectively,
he replied. I highly fucking doubt it, I exclaimed, being both frightened beyond measure of what I had been asked and also seething with anger. The doctor had gone quiet. A look of disbelief and frustration had showed up on his cyan camouflaged face. His typical grin and demeanor had faded.
And I shall find another! And the other, I am certain, will be more grateful for the opportunity and the benefits that will result.
I tilted my head and looked in pure confusion. Firstly, because of the fact he knows how to use leverage, even though he isn't from Earth or even human possibly, and also for the fact he had the nerve. The other? Who on Earth could that be exactly? No one even knows you're here except me. And by the way, who's to say I won't get the authorities involved and be responsible for one of the greatest mindfucks in recent history? Responsible for making this small town hot as hell in the winter. That's on you, buddy. He replied.
These authorities you mentioned, they lack the technical ability to even sense my presence here. And I will not allow you to attempt to disrupt my lab.
He was obviously feeling slightly offended and threatened.
If I do not have your cooperation with this task, you may leave. If you do not do this willingly, and do not keep this to yourself, You will threaten all that I'm here to do, and that will be catastrophic!
And that is? I asked.
To research and develop experimental technology! This technology will help advance your primitive species to ascend a higher level in the universe!
He paused, looking annoyed with himself for saying a bit too much.
I should recruit the other. Goodbye.
The white tile floor I was standing on in the lab flipped underneath me. The platform I was standing on receded, and underneath was a conveyor belt that began to pull me towards the doorway. The same doorway where I had entered several times. I tried to get off it, but I couldn't. Panicked and speechless, I realized there was some sort of method at work to get me stuck to this belt. It was a relatively slow process, but was effectively dramatic. As I got closer to the door, I realized the wealth of information I could have access to. How much it could change and improve my shitty life. How much it could help the world, and before I even finished thinking... Wait! Hold on! I shouted. The belt, and I, kept moving. Oh, fuck. Shit. Okay. Fuck that cave. Fuck this up. I can't lose this episode. Okay, I'll do the job, I explained. Still, I kept approaching, now inches from the doorway. And I'll do it without telling anybody. I promise, I won't tell anybody. Just turn this shit off. I yelled in desperation, realizing the potential and gnawing curiosity I had thinking of what life could become. The belt stopped, then started pulling me back towards the strange man.
Will you really?
PCC said. Yes, I swear, I responded, my heart jolting.
Good then. Shall we continue preparation?
He grinned and was filled with his typical giddy excitement. Feeling like my life was either about to end or get a hell of a lot more interesting. I tried to get off the belt, my legs shaking a bit. I muttered a very pathetic, yes. The following days or weeks seemed to blur together. My day-to-day was filled with anxiety and hopelessness. From the fact I just left everything I know about life behind, all to quench my curiosity, as well as the grueling psychological tests and tasks I had been given to make sure I was an ideal candidate for the task. Instructions of physical regiments in a foreign text unknown to our world were seen everywhere in the chambers where I was trained, only translated by a small drone that followed me around. But a confidence was beginning to grow in me, a slow burn that grew with accomplishing the increasingly difficult tasks. The facility I was in was unchartable, unfindable, secret in every sense of the word. I ate and slept in what seemed like artificial imitations or approximations of a typical human home. In fact, the tiles in every white room seemed to serve multiple purposes, and must have been constantly changing. I had no idea where I was geographically, and due to the never-ending blinding white light that seems to come from nowhere, it's just bright. There's no lights. I began to lose sense of time and my sanity. My thoughts were vivid and wild. Soon, my dreams began to fade from familiar memories to simply being alone in this bright, white, secret facility. I thought this is what living in an insane asylum must be like. Oh, and if I hadn't yet mentioned, I hadn't seen or heard from the doctor in many of these assumed weeks. The only way I had known a tiny sense of what was even happening was the simple fact that any time I had woken up from my pod, yes, where I'm in this weird pod thing, and reminded me of the pod in the Portal game, except this is real, and it was kind of a bed, and in the interior was a dome of glass. I automatically woke up at the same time, slept at the same time, seemingly every, I guess we'll call it, cycle. It was the only thing that kept the blinding light out, due to its automatic, strange technology that kind of created an artificial shutter. The only semblance of interaction I had at all was talking to the tiny drone that always was eagerly awaiting me upon exiting. "Hey, buddy," I said with a low rasp in my voice. I was exhausted, but not in a way sleep could fix. I was exhausted from the stress I constantly was under, the battling with my sanity, the disconnection with life itself. What if my family misses me, my friends, the idiots at my job? All of this, I said to the never-responding drone, which I'm almost certain was some sort of camera device. Just say something to me. Say anything. You gotta have a speaker, right? A microphone? Something. The drone just hovered there, with its oculus facing me like every other day, waiting to send me into more physical and mental training, to inject me with more information modules. Painless. But man, do you feel the ick. "Why don't you ever say good morning?" I asked the machine. The drone, like usual, never responded. You know, on my planet, this planet, it's rude to not address people. Asshole. I was too exhausted to even attempt to yell or shout. I defeatedly gathered myself for however long it had been by doing my daily things like showering, brushing my teeth, etc. But just as I had passed the mirror, which I'm pretty sure was a camera with a live feed in my quarters, I noticed myself for the first time in however long it had been since I'd been there. Holy shit. My now slender and bearded face uttered. I was in great shape, and I couldn't believe it. Most of my teen and young adult life, I had been overweight or just plain out of shape. I rubbed my eyes to make sure I hadn't been hallucinating again. But no, I really was in good shape. Despite the isolation and depression I had been feeling, I had been eating nutrient blocks, little squares of stuff humans supposedly need every day, so I've been told. And it tastes like ass. Not that I would know what ass tastes like, okay? Anyway. I remained in shock at my appearance and physicality for the entire usual daily routine. As I had been working and returned to my quarters after the day, I must have spent hours flexing my arms, chest, and legs, astonished. I had never looked this good, ever, and for the first time since I started this hellish adventure, the smile of a handsome man cracked on my face. That in itself brought me what I figured to be legitimate joy, which I rarely ever even felt before I ended up here. Oh, to see home, my job, my friends. God, I was so lonely. The following cycle, I had been referred to by the drone that this was the standard of time that we had been using. It was referred to this because there was no real day or night. I just absolutely felt a crushing anxiety and depression more than usual. I collapsed in the physical training area. Then, black. Everything was black. What I still felt still was breathing. As I began to gain what I believed to be consciousness, I stretched my arms out and felt nothing but something solid and pitch black encasing me. I tried to push, but nothing happened. I tried to pull, nothing. I couldn't even sit up. I had been stuck in the exact standing position I had woken up in. Then, panic took over. My breathing and heart rate had accelerated. I was freaking out. I started trying to kick and scream, and all I heard was myself and nothing else. I couldn't do anything. I was trapped in this silent, dark encasement. I started to cry. I had given up. No escape, and seemingly no one around. You will pay for this! I'll find you even after death! I got angry, trying to yell for that son of a bitch doctor to show his cowardly fucking face, denying the inevitable sad death I knew was coming. I spent what I believed to be hours, crying, screaming, pleading, kicking, punching at the dark walls surrounding me. I tried apologizing. I tried everything except resting. I've got to stay awake. I've got to get out. What is this? Why? Rest. Rest. Sleep. It's all right. Who said that? Answer me! I swore I heard that with my ears. I didn't. If I could explain just how I heard those words, I'd be locked up in the crazy house. It would make sense. There was no way I'd be sane after what I'd endured. Then, black again. I must have dozed off something. Darkness. Then, comfort. Warmness, like the embrace of God. Beautiful strings of colors I had never seen on Earth appeared in vision that wasn't with my eyes. Beautiful tones that were never heard by humans. An indescribable feeling washed over me like a warm wave. If I did have a conscience anymore, I suppose this is what dying feels like. But how am I having these thoughts? What a ponderer I am. People would always tell me, you need to live in the moment. Be present. And I always agreed. But never really knew what they meant. Ever since I was a boy, I was always a thinker, a questioner, one that seeked the truth. Despite always asking, all of my questions were answered with more questions. Is this the life I'm destined to live? Searching for something this earth and life does not have? Am I just a spirit trapped in a husk, reaching for the freedom to roam, to return as I was, as a piece of the universe? I felt a wave of euphoria throughout my body. Was this the moment I'd be free? To exist in endless joy, to endure no suffering, to be the pure essence of love itself. Well, nope. A blinding light had punctured the black and enveloped all I could see. The lab. I felt the limitations of my mortal coil once again, and perceived the most annoying voice I had heard in quite some time, puncturing my ears.
Well, it seems you're ready, Mr. James. You have passed, and are physically and mentally ready for your task to find my beautiful drones.
I glanced to my left. I was laying on a bed of some sort in what I assumed to be a medical facility in the doctor's lab. There he was, grinning with giddy excitement and seeming to be thrilled that I was awake and ready, whatever that means. Then, like a punch to the gut, I felt an overwhelming sadness, realizing that I had been brought back to this hellish scenario. Quickly turned to a rage I have never felt before. You piece of shit. I'll fucking end you. I got up from the bed in an instant, smacked one of the drones surrounding me out of the way, and charged at the now running doctor. He fled for the facility's doorway and quickly pulled from his back holster some sort of cyan camo-covered scoped weapon. There was ringing in my ears. Total blackout. I continued to charge at him, with the doctor holding a stance at the doorway, seemingly relatively unfazed about my reaction. I screamed in a primal rage. I had noticed his mouth moving but heard nothing. He aimed his weapon, fired. I felt nothing, but I did stop in shock of what just happened. My anger rose even further, and I continued to charge, managing to get a few feet away from him, and suddenly, despite the motion, I was frozen in my tracks. A squiggly line of blue energy that buzzed. Low buzzing, humming sound. It seemed to surround me. Realizing my predicament, I calmed down. For a moment.
You have been in isolation for quite some time, and you need to adjust. I intend no harm.
I looked down to investigate what I had been shot with, and, well, nothing. No blood. No pain. It must have been a bluff to scare me.
I understand you're quite angry and have many questions. I can answer them right now, but you must relax.
I was only able to muster up I said, he pressed a button on the side of his device, and the invisible restraint had disappeared.
I did not realize the reaction you would have. Your species here is quite unconventional.
I remained still while holding back a million feelings bursting from the scene.
You had a severe reaction to the cryogenic freeze. You nearly expired had my drone not notified me of a critical error in the machine.
I didn't feel cold, I said. I felt trapped in isolation, then euphoria. Until now.
I'm aware of the term.
Now I'm pissed.
Pissed means angry. In your culture, yes?
Yes, I responded with disdain in my voice.
Well, why are you this pissed feeling?
Because you put me through the agony of isolation for months, and then I almost died only to be brought back to this miserable fucking lab.
Curious. Why would you be angry with your life being saved?
Because my life fucking sucked. Endless misery and betrayal, being an outcast, abuse. Death for me would be a release.
Well, goddamn. That's depressing.
He said, slightly amused. Yeah, I know. But when I noticed strange things happening in my town, I looked into it. I found this amazing lab. Met a strange scientist guy with a weird-ass name, and was given the opportunity to change my life by learning some things my people could never comprehend. I was actually excited.
So, you were being authentic. I am truly apologetic for the negative situations you have endured. I certainly did not make it better, I imagine.
No. You actually did, I responded. You've given me a chance to be better. He looked surprised at my response. While I now was starting to hear the beeping and motorized noises of the lab in the background.
Well, in that case, I have a new task for you. You may have noticed in your time training, you are knowledgeable about combat and are in prime physical condition to survive the journey ahead. Your isolation, as you put it, has made you capable of enduring long spans of time alone. Knowing you humans are social creatures by nature, this should give you an advantage in many scenarios according to the data. The data that is actually factually gathered by my monitoring drone that you happen to speak to, even though it's a drone that doesn't speak or have a speaking modulator. Amusing.
Oh, you mean the one thing that was rude and didn't say good morning?
Yes. I understand that is important to your culture.
He didn't realize I was making a crappy joke. At least I felt sane-ish now. At least I have a purpose. I was still very iffy on this decision to work with him, especially after what I endured.
Your authorities have seized and dismantled my drone that they had stolen! But being cunning as I am, I wiped all data and locked down the hardware should any undesirable forces wish to access the technology!
This guy loves saying that shit, I thought. But simultaneously, relieved I don't have to fight a damn police station or potentially the CIA to get a drone for a strange man in an underground laboratory.
One of my beautiful drones seemed to lose contact with its directive and crash-landed somewhere very far from here, on this planet. The information I have says it's in the middle of the southern hemisphere in an ocean. That can't be correct. The last image from the footage shows some sort of tropical biome.
He pondered while looking over his screen, attached to a hovering drone next to him. It's an island, I spoke up.
Yes, indeed. It seems so. That drone has critical data regarding the structure of your planet, Mr. James. You know what must be done.
I do, I responded. But I can't do it alone.